Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Come On.
The Cool Down.
The Cool Down.
Guys, it's the cool down. Where's Silo when you need him? Also, guys, if you're watching, if you're joining us now, there's something very rare upon us. Yeah, it's almost as rare as a Spurs win. Is Matt making an appearance? It's been what? It's been like 3 months. Where's this
Been
guy
a while.
been?
It's been some time. There's been some things happening. A lot has happened in the world, and I've made it back. Here I am. I'm glad to be here. I've missed you guys. Probably not as much as you've missed me, but it's been there. You know.
I'm not sure if Wonga's missed you though. Wonga, have you missed Matt?
Nah, not so much, Maddie. No, I'm lying. Of course I have. Spurs losing, and I can't tune anyone. Gee whiz, I can't tune anyone. Spurs losing, yeah. Nah, definitely. And he's back. At least they on a not a great run of form. So we'll see. Maybe he's gonna change it. I don't know.
Well, Matt, the floor is yours. You've been gone for so long. People want to hear from you. People have been crying out for you. Also, Devil's Peak have been walking all over you. Selo on his Devil's Peak. I mean, the darling brew has been left wanting, sir.
No, yeah. I mean, I've been away. It's Spurs haven't played great while I've been off. I'm not sure that there's, it'd be too early for us to say whether there's a correlation between their form and my absence. I think we'll have to wait and see the science on that. But I am here. I'm back with my darling brew, and I know Devil's Peak have been having a time of it in my absence. But we're back now. We're gonna make it work. So looking forward to it. Let's do this.
Shout out to Bards who's joining us, and Pums in the comments. They're obviously Chelsea representative. So
what up,
guys,
gents?
must we start with the good news? Yeah.
What is the good news?
Come on, man. Let's go. Look at that. Ninth League Cup.
This is why.
Can you hear me?
This is why Mendy should have stayed in goals. This is why Mendy should have stayed in goals. With me hearing this.
Yeah. I mean, Wonga, what did you think was going to happen? Honestly speaking, before the game, did you think Chelsea were really going to win? Did you really?
No, I think they definitely had a chance, Claudio. I never knew Liverpool. I thought Liverpool would have at least given. Would have played at least most of the young guys. I mean, the ones that were playing when they got to the final. But they did put the young keeper in goals. So fair play there. And then, but bro, Mendy had the best game of his life. I mean, he saved everything there. He's made Liverpool and Chelsea go to penalties because of Mendy. All right, that's what I think. And I think I think that's the biggest area there. I think both teams they played well, they had the chances, but Mendy was on top form. He's on fire, and I think if he had been in the goals, I think he would have caused a little bit of some sort of disturbance there. I mean, he would have definitely intimidated someone, at least one person. I mean, everyone. I mean, I think everyone hit the penalties in, right? I'm pretty sure he would have at least caused one of them to falter. But I mean, that's what it is. But Liverpool winning, oh God, it's just the worst thing to live with. Goodness me.
Why is it the worst thing? Tell me why. Why, Wonga? Why?
Huh?
It's been a long time coming. It's deserving. I think, like, if you look at the run of play, if you look at the game, penalties. The question should he bring Kepa on? I think it's a bizarre decision. To your point, Mendy obviously having a great game. Mendy must also be thinking, you guys are a bunch of twat bags, aren't you? Like, I'm having a hell of a game, and you take me off. I've literally just come off the back of winning the AFCON Cup penalty shootouts, and you take me off to put this guy on. I know they've done it in the past. Obviously, backfired. But in the penalties, whenever it goes to penalties, there's always a narrative that gets told. There's always like something, an angle that tends to like unfold where, that's how they end up losing or winning, which is quite interesting. And it just had to be Kepa. I was laughing my head off. I was like, what's going to happen here? Something's got to give. Is it going to be a young player? Is it going to be a substitute? Nope, it was Kepa. And it had me laughing. From like smiling, laughing. I was running around in tears with laughter. I was like, this is ridiculous. But the game though, did you guys get a sense that they wanted the game to go to penalties though? The organizers, not the teams, the organizers.
I don't think so. I mean, I don't know how would you say? Well, I wouldn't suspect that. I think the game. I think, like I said, I think Kepa. I think both. I don't know how if Kelleher had much to do, but I think Kepa there. I mean, he's not Kepa. Sorry, he was Mendy. He's pulled off things that have been certain goals. I mean, the one time I think he saved 3 in a row. I think he's thinking, okay, one of the rebounds are gonna go in, and he's like, nah, clean sheet here. So
The Mane
yeah,
save.
I don't
It
think
was
so.
the Mane save. He gets down,
Yeah.
he saves Keita. Then that Mane save was unbelievable.
Yeah, but he did it twice. I think he did it twice in the game. But yeah, I don't think
Yeah,
so. I
both
won't
sides
lie to
had
you. To
good
answer your
chances,
question.
and I mean, there was question marks over the disallowed goal on the Lukaku one. That offside call looked very marginal. But as to whether or not people wanted it to go to penalties, I don't know. You know, I think it was one of those ones where you watch a 0-0 draw and it was a good 0-0 draw. You know, it wasn't like a boring. Both sides could have won it. I think whatever the result ended up being, both sides probably feel that they deserved a win. You know, both sides did enough to win it. And the thing with penalties is, you know, you can never. You know, I mean, who would have bet on it going to the 22nd penalty as it is? You know, that was already pretty spectacular. But yeah, I don't think either side could really say they were robbed. But probably Chelsea are probably sitting there thinking, oh, you know, one other decision going our way and we would have won that thing. But of course, they chose to swap the keeper out. They brought Kepa on after Mendy had such a blinder. So. You know,
And I mean, I think Kepa's definitely a factor in the penalties. But if you look at that penalty shootout, like the run of play, so to speak, the game, you could say Liverpool were the stronger team. Chelsea had the better chances waiting for the counter-attack. Then they went to extra time and Liverpool made the changes just before the end of the game. And then Chelsea were the stronger side. They should have probably won it in extra time with that Lukaku chance. I think it was quite a bit of a harsh decision in the end. But then the penalties come, and I think that's where the luck came in terms of the decision. With just the flip of the coin, Liverpool got to go first, which Milner was standing there. He's like, we're going first. And then he got to choose the side. And that, at the end of the day, that definitely played a role in Kepa's miss, whether you like it or not. But the one thing I want to touch on, I don't know if you guys paid attention to Van Dijk's penalty. Did anyone see that? Kepa trying to show him the whole side of the goal, puts him in the corner, and Van Dijk still sticks in the top corner where he had that much space to put it in. Did anyone see that?
Yeah, I saw that one.
yeah.
I saw it. Is that why they gave Van Dijk man of the match?
Must have been. Because Van Dijk was like, stuff you.
No way.
Just the penalty.
Because there's no other reason. I can't understand how Mendy hasn't got.
I mean, he's a defender. They kept a clean sheet. You know. It's,
but no one scored. That's what I understand. So, but Mendy, for me, Mendy should have got it. Whether it's taken off or whatever, I think Mendy should have got man of the match.
I think if Chelsea had won, he probably would have.
But again, I mean, I've said it to you before, guys. Penalties are not for me. I think they should definitely cut penalties out, and they must somehow find a way to win by scoring proper goals.
Wonga, I was thinking that.
Proper
I was like, while I was watching it, I was like, Wonga says this thing must just keep going. How much longer do you want them to play? Because they're just cancelling each other out. What do you want them to do until they just drop?
Someone scores? Yeah, so the job there, the subs. You can make them. You can actually, instead of just like the penalties, where they say if after 10 penalties, isn't it after 10 penalties you basically start from the first guy it took. Same thing with that. After 120 minutes, restart the subs. You can bring on the guys who were there before. That's fine. Let them come on and play again. There's so many subs. What the heck? We'll get a goal eventually.
Look, you know what? If you pitch this idea to the broadcasters, they might buy into it because it means more TV time for them. I don't know if you're going back to penalties in 1994, Matt. I don't know if you remember this, seeing as you're the father of the show here. Is the 1994 penalties where they had to start at the halfway line. And they had to dribble one-on-one at the keeper. I don't know if you remember that. Maybe that's something.
I remember that.
Yes, they can maybe. Yeah, that's better. Gee whiz, this thing of putting it on the spot.
No, that was...
A penalty is a penalty. Oh, it's a penalty. You penalize someone. What the hell are you penalizing them for? Nah, bro.
Dude,
failure to score. You're being punished for a failure to win.
Yeah, you can say that, but
I don't know. But
I don't dig it.
Darren coming in saying, gents, reckon Liverpool win a treble. Not sure which ones though yet. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Well, they're still on for the quadruple. Never mind a treble. You could win all four as it stands currently. But I think it's a lot easier said than done. The FA Cup is far from it's not even at final stage yet, so that's a long way to go. The league is far from a cakewalk. City are going to take you guys all the way to the end. Chelsea are not out of the equation there either, and Chelsea are going to be upset with you after this, so they're going to be going for it. And of course, the Champions League is never an easy competition to win. So I think if Liverpool were going to do something like that, this would be the season. I think you've got the form, you've got the squad depth, you've got the experience, you've got the right mix. Your key players are back. You know, you think last season and the season before you were decimated by injuries. So I think if you were going to do it, this would be the season, but definitely not easy. It's only been done once because it is really hard to pull off. So it's, let's see.
Wonga.
Although you guys did do that funny treble a while ago. You did that funny treble not long ago.
2002.
Yeah. You did a
funny one. It was the Europa, it was the League Cup, and it was the FA Cup. That's the one Michael Owen did his thing in the final before he became a man.
Call it like
funny.
The triplets,
funny
a triple.
It's not like if you were going to order a triple, that's the one that comes from Which instead of Amazon, you know.
100%. It's just as funny as how Arsenal and Spurs are being run at the moment. Funny, hilarious.
So sensitive. Always so sensitive about Liverpool. Show on your 2002 treble, and you're going to go you got to go full nuclear.
Let's not touch on that topic. Too soon, mate. Too soon. Gents, but in terms of the game, before we move on from the actual League Cup final, what did you think about the performance of the Liverpool new signing, Luis Diaz?
Look, I didn't watch much of it, but I think the moments I saw, he got the ball a lot. Look, I never saw enough to say anything about him, to be honest with you, Claudio. But what I did see,
okay, next question.
It was okay.
You answered that.
Okay.
It's like didn't see nothing. You know why you did not see anything? Also, Vado, what are you saying now? Liverpool are done with winning cups. What are you? This is just sour because Villa have taken the lights. Turn. That's what's going on. Matthew, what do you think? Did you manage? Did you see anything? Did you see Luis Diaz? I mean, they took off Sadio Mane before they took off Diaz, just to give it kind of the impact he had in the game. And also, we're talking about a brand new player for Liverpool anyway. He's coming in January and he's settled in really well, and he's already won his first trophy for the club.
Yeah, look, I think he said he certainly didn't play badly on the day. I think it's always going to be difficult to judge an impact player like him in a game that ended 0-0 in real time, because you know normally his like those around him, his impact will be measured on the score sheet and that. But I think he's also the kind of player who's going to fit in Liverpool's system quite well, because they have that kind of interchangeable front line. You know, you don't have kind of set in stone, this is where this player is going to be. And I think he's the kind of player who's going to thrive in that kind of environment where, you know, sitting behind and allowing that movement to happen and creating opportunities. So I think once he gets a better run in the side, maybe spend some more time with the squad as well, I think he'll end up being in the same way that Jota was for you guys. You know, he's also proven to be a really valuable asset for Liverpool, and I think he'll be a similar in that mold of player in terms of his impact. But yeah, I don't think he had an amazing cup final. I don't think he played badly, but I think all of Liverpool's from midfield forward probably be thinking they should have done a bit more on the day. I think Mane will be kicking himself for not having scored. But yeah, it was. I'm excited. He's the kind of player that I think suits Liverpool's style at the moment. I think he's the kind of player Klopp looks for, and I think works with that system, doesn't he? You know. All
right. Well, then, final question from my end, gents. Will they win another trophy? Someone's saying, I think Warren's saying one more, he reckons. Vard obviously saying no. We got Darren saying 3 more. And if they are going to win a trophy, which one is the likeliest of trophies? Or not? I mean, Wonga's saying no. So maybe that already rules him out of this question. Unless you want to answer, Wonga.
Nah. I mean, I don't want them to win anything more, so I can't really answer it.
Again, Wonga, it's not about what you want. I love how the show is always about what Wonga hopes for and actually wants it to. It's like, no, I want Liverpool to lose this weekend, so they're going to lose. What's your prediction? No, they will lose because I want Arsenal to win. It's got nothing to do with Arsenal.
It's putting it out in the universe, you know?
Yeah.
Affirmations. I think Liverpool have probably got a trophy in them. But I think they've probably won the easiest one that they would have won this season. I think the league, the FA Cup and the Champions League are much more difficult to pull off, and they'll be very susceptible to any kind of injury, any kind of dip in form. If it falls off, then they're going to really struggle. So in the same way that they could walk away not winning another trophy, just like Chelsea could end up winning nothing, City could end up winning nothing. I think it's going to be they're one of the clubs that are in there with a shout for more than one bit of silverware. But it's definitely not easy. It'd be very difficult to say, yeah, they're definitely going to win something. I think they've got an opportunity, but not going to be easy. I think that's the risk. I think we've seen that with Liverpool before. They tend to suffer from a bit of hubris. We saw it after they won the league. Their form fell off a cliff for quite a while, lasted into the next season. It could be the same here. They're going, they were already, waving flares about in the crowd over a League Cup. You got to think maybe the players are going to be a little bit hungover, not ready for the run-ins. So let's see if they can get their head back in the game.
This is just you speculating, saying things for the sake of saying things. That's not going to happen.
Oh yeah, because you never do that. Liverpool fans never just wave a conspiracy.
No, our conspiracy.
I'm right, Sansai. After you won the league, what happened to your form after it was
but that
confirmed?
was the league. This is a different sort of scenario. You've won a cup mid-season, so you're almost going. No, if anything, you've galvanized the fans, you've galvanized new signings, you've galvanized the squad. The squad of you got youngsters. You've also got to remember how they got to this cup final in the first place. A lot of these players play for the first time on Sunday, the first team players. So there were a lot of youngsters. So it was a good rotation, good use of squad depth. So hopefully, in terms of we're going to look at conspiracy theories, Matt, let's hope that the momentum then carries on through something else. And it almost felt like, even though they won and they were happy for winning, it felt like they were waiting for the next one. Like this one is just, it was mandatory. They just ticked the box. Like we wanted to get this one done. We got it out the way. And for Klopp, it was going, it's the first sort of cup that he's won in England, apart from the actual league, one of the cup ties, whether it be the FA Cup or League Cup. So it was for him to tick off as well. And that's why he was so excited. So it's like, yes, we can move forward now. We can continue. And I mean, you got to look at it. I mean, foot in the door through the next round of the Champions League. Inter Milan should be done and dusted anyway. I mean, this is me speaking, not necessarily as a Liverpool fan, but just looking at these sort of results and on paper. Look at Wonga is like,
Well, I'll just look for this. What time? 28 minutes. Okay. When they play.
Look at Pooms. Look at Pooms here. A small cup. That's a
best way. Tell them Pooms. It's just
no. Look, I think you are right to a certain extent, Claudio, but I think both things are equally possible. It could galvanize them and it could drive them on to more, and it could equally lead them to a little bit of complacency, let them maybe take their foot off the gas because they're not so desperate for that first cup win. There was maybe a little bit of a mental thing in the squad because they hadn't won anything since the league, and they were, what if this is it for us? So there's a risk of both things. It could light a fire under them, make them hungry for more, and I think it could also potentially, certain squad members maybe start to feel that they don't need to push as hard. So I just think that's why I'm saying it's not as easy as like, oh, we've won the League Cup, now we'll go on and do the treble, because if it was that easy, it would have happened a lot more often. And I don't think that is always the case. City have maybe shown over the last couple of seasons they've been winning the League Cup, and then they go on and they do very well in the league. But even they have not won every time they've won. Every time they win the League Cup, they don't go on and win the league. So it doesn't guarantee success. So we'll see.
Now that's a rationale that I can work with. There's some logical, you've connected.
Don't discount the flare thing. That flare thing, that's also, for me, that's a red flare, as it were.
Wonga, you've got an answer here. Nevada's asking you a question.
But come on. Champions League. Are you talking about?
You don't know the Champions League. You don't know the Champions League.
Is that a statement, or is he like, Wonga, I don't know. Champions League, question mark? Like, we need some punctuation, Vads. Come on.
No. Vod said that Liverpool are gonna. That's the only cup they're gonna win, and I agree with that. So maybe he's referring to Arsenal, but no, man. Look who we are, guys. We just need to win our game in hands, and then we're above Man United, and the top 4 is ours. 10 games, it's not going to be easy, but I think at the moment, I think we're the team that's probably in a better position than anyone else to take that position.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So are you feeling very confident about that then, Wonga?
Yes. After what you did to Wolves, and the contract was coming to them. Good. It finished in that fashion as well. I'm certain. I am actually certain that this can be the season we actually come back. It will be difficult. Just the same. It will probably be the same as Liverpool and Chelsea. I mean, Liverpool and Man City at the top. But definitely, I mean, with Man United the way they're going, they don't know what's happening And who else is there?
Also,
West
do you
Ham.
not think that's the reason why Celo's not on the show? Liverpool winning a cup, Man United doing the thing again, just dropping more points. And he's like, I've had enough. Last week, you made me sit through this. I had to host 2 shows. I've had enough. I need a break.
And yeah, but it would be
be
difficult. People will lose and whatnot. But I'm looking at this thing now, Claudio. I truly believe. Say Man United has to be sacrificed there. I don't know. They'll deal with their problems. But yeah, we come back. I think we definitely see it. This season.
I like your confidence here because this is an interesting one. We're going to touch on obviously the Bielsa.
We've got nothing,
sacking, But I mean, what?
Also, we got nothing. We just literally. This is all we have. The league is all we have.
Yeah, so if you don't get it, so actually what you're saying is you're putting your side under more pressure because if they don't get it, it just shows you then they really are useless if they don't get Champions League.
Huh? Nah, I would say useless. I think there's problems.
Are we now in the 3rd year of Arteta's 3-year plan? Weren't you guys meant to win the Champions League this season?
Win Champions League?
No, I think that's next year. Was it next year? No, it is 2022. But William's gone. So William's gone.
So if you don't get 4th place, Arteta should get the sack automatically because he can't win Champions League, right?
Well, yeah, his plan goes out the window. That's for sure. That's for sure. So, but actually, Matt's actually correct. I mean, if it's 22, then yeah, this year we're supposed to actually qualify. We cannot
qualify or win
finish.
Was it qualify or win it? Do you remember the statement clearer than I do?
When did William leave?
William left. He said he was going to win it.
The year before last.
I thought he said win it as well.
Now, yeah, he says he's going to win the Champions League in the next 3 years. So that would be next year. I think it was 2020 when he said that, if I'm not mistaken. It's exactly the time we signed William. It was exactly the time we signed William. So according to his plan, we're on track. He's just not in the right position when I look at this log.
I mean, on track. There's just 2 places off. That's using the term on track incredibly loosely. Like, what track is this?
Which track? And where's this track leading to? That's the question. And what kind of train is on this track as well?
Is it a train track? Are we sure
it's a young train?
Not just...
Wonga. Okay. All right. But we're talking about top 4. Obviously, ups and downs, Spurs. I mean, Matt, it kind of looked promising with Conte coming in. You've disappeared for the last 3 months. You all of a sudden show up when they beat Leeds out of all teams 4-0. I mean, that would be credible if they not conceded 2,500 goals just before this game.
Yeah, look,
but
I don't think...
Nonetheless. Yeah,
I don't think you can read too much into the Leeds result. I think Leeds were, as you said, they decided to kind of turn football into a new kind of art where you just attack all the time without actually scoring goals, except against Man United. But other than that, they had not been scoring. So, and Spurs are weird. I think I said it in the group. Sort of, what are Tottenham at the moment? It is really hard. We beat City in a game where there was like that never say die. We will not lose this game. They fought right to the end. They won it at the very end after a very unfair penalty. And then I think then the next game, Burnley, we were just not even there. It was like just ridiculous. It was, and I remember saying to a friend of mine who also supports Tottenham straight after the City game, I said, "You watch, we're going to lose at Burnley 1-0. It's just going to be the most Spurs thing." And then the Leeds thing, we were completely clinical, completely professional. You wouldn't say, as much as Leeds are weak and they're struggling or whatever, you wouldn't have looked at Spurs and thought that's a side that's been struggling for form lately. They were everybody did their job. Everything came off. Kulusevski's looking a real find. He really seems to know how to unlock defenses. It's exactly what we've been missing. What that means for Spurs' top 4 hopes, I honestly couldn't tell you. I really don't know. Yeah, top 8. I think that's a realistic ambition. I think even the way Conte talks about it now, it's kind of top 4 would be fantastic, but realistically, he's targeting next season. It feels that way, as though if he is going to stick around.
But is he targeting next season? I actually want to ask you, based on the comments he had last week, what are your thoughts? I mean, I know Wonga
he gave a really interesting...
spoke. Yeah, they spoke about it last week. They touched on it, and I think they gave good views. But as a Spurs fan, I'm curious. Like, if I'm a Liverpool guy and I see Klopp come out and say those sort of comments, I'm very curious to see what your thoughts are.
It has been weird, and there was a time where I thought, because we have a history of not backing our managers. You can go right back to Poch, where there were times where we were so close to doing something amazing, and then for 3 windows in a row, we didn't buy a single player, and then we fell behind and never recovered. But then actually just today, I think it was today, possibly yesterday, all the days blur into one now in the pandemic world. But essentially, recently, Conte gave an interview where he actually spoke about this thing of post-match interviews. And he said that sometimes he just says things to wake up the squad or to wake up the management. And after the Burnley game was the right time for him to do one of those and to say what he said. But he is committed to Spurs and he knows the Spurs fans deserve better and blah, 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 blah. But at the same time, I think what is definitely true is that a manager like Conte is not going to stick around if we don't back him. And I think at the end of the season, wherever we finish, be it 4th or 8th, he's going to have a list of demands. He's going to have a list of requirements that he goes back to Levy with. And I think if Levy doesn't back him in the summer, he will walk because he's going to have options. He's Antonio Conte. So I think I really hope we hold on to him. I think if we get through Pochettino, Mourinho, and Conte without winning any kind of trophy, then we're clearly cursed. Levy needs to find out what he's done to so anger the footballing gods. And maybe it's us. Maybe it's us.
Do you not think it's a London curse though? You move into a brand new stadium and everything just goes shit sideways. That's what it is. Also, shout out to Yuri Vix who's saying, "Fun fact: Manchester City pay off referees." And I'm assuming this is regarding the handball situation that happened the weekend, and we will touch on that. But regards to your stadium, I mean, you were there, Matt. You were there in December. State-of-the-art stadium.
I was.
It's not translating.
I was. Yeah, I mean, look, it's an incredible stadium. I haven't had a chance to chat to you guys about it. It is absolutely phenomenal. Really very modern, well done, very easy in and out, very well put together. Views are incredible. It was an amazing experience. I got there on a good day. We played Palace on Boxing Day. We won 3-0. Harry Kane
last
scored
time,
the first.
I mean, other than yesterday or the other day, the last time you guys had a really positive result. I mean, I've got to thank you for the Man City one too. Those are the
there's been a couple of. That's the thing with Tottenham. It's sort of like every night, that's why you don't know what we are, because it's like we can do that to City and we can be completely dominant in other games and then sometimes just not turn up at all. But yeah, it was an amazing day. Great day out. And maybe there is some sort of curse. Maybe we need to sacrifice a goat on the centre circle. I don't know. Maybe I don't know whether they've done that already. Or a chicken, some kind of creature, some sort of animal to appease the footballing gods. Maybe they don't want
Could be
animals. Maybe
there's probably a story behind it. You remember that other? I forgot his name now, Claudio.
Yeah, I think that makes a good point. At the moment.
Sorry, you go on, Mete. Go on. I'll speak after.
It sounded like you were getting excited. I didn't want to be in the way.
You don't want to be in the way of Bongo.
Yeah, something's going to happen.
There haven't been too many moments. We don't want to squash that for him.
Yeah, exactly.
Go ahead, Bongo. What did you want to say? What did you want to say there? All right, go ahead, Matt.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I think Vads is right. I think they're a bit of a Jekyll and Hyde team at the moment. When it works, when it clicks, it's incredible. The Kane and Son thing, they've kind of found their groove again. Kulusevski's looking really, really good. And midfield is getting a bit more solid. Winks has really stepped up since Conte's come in. We've seen a lot of improvement in his game. His range of passing is back to where it was a couple of years ago. And I think, and then there's other days where we come in and there's just nothing works. The defense loses contact with one another. If Romero and Dyer are both out, our defense is nowhere, and they just seem to really lack the communication and stuff. I think Dyer's one of those interesting players because you can look at him and think, sort of objectively on his own, he never looks like a top 4 defender. Like he seems to lack something. But when he's in our defense is just 10 times better. He seems to be a really good leader on the field. He's kind of that kind of defender who lifts the whole side around him, and he's fully committed and all of that. And so when he's missing, we feel it. And then there's days still where Kane or Son are just not firing, and then we were struggling. I do think that's changing now because I think with Kulusevski in, and I think with Lucas and Bergwijn also, they've recently found some good form. I think there's an opportunity. There's a squad there, and I think you can look and see there's a squad of players there that could do something. But it is hard to know. Like I couldn't realistically tell you where I think Spurs are going to finish. It could be anywhere from 4th to 8th, or possibly lower. We're just really, really difficult to pin down. Similarly with the cup run, you'd think we've got Middlesbrough in the next round. We should be looking at getting through, but I could also just see us going out and losing it 1-0 and not finding a shot on target the whole game. So it's just really hard to say. Really, I suppose in a way that's exciting. You never know what you're going to get.
I was about to say it's an exciting time, I suppose.
Yeah, but as a Spurs fan, that kind of excitement is horrible.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. Well, Wonga, are you still with us? He looks quite serious
he's
right
sitting
now.
very, very still.
I
like
think Yeah, Mr. Vic's comment over here saying if Arteta doesn't get the top 4, then it's a failure for the season. I think that started longer, seeing as he was very confident about that top 4 finish.
Yeah.
So just from that, yeah. Wonga, you with us?
Yeah, hey, internet. I think
Hey.
can do.
We need to speak to Elon Musk to sort us out here there. Wonga, just question, yeah, Vic's saying if Arsenal don't get top 4 finish, it's a failure of the season. You agree with that, right?
I think, yeah, obviously he wants it. So I'd say in that point. But if you're looking at
I like to
wants
think he
season
wants
away,
it, because if he doesn't want
wants
it, he's the wrong man for the job.
yeah, look, I mean, yeah, definitely, because we want it. But I mean, if I'm looking at it, I wouldn't say it's much of a failure. I mean, they started the season poorly, and I think he's done very well to come back from what, I mean, the way we started the season. We're literally at the bottom of the league. We've done well to turn that around. Now we're competing for top 4, which is good. But obviously, it will seem like a failure to all the guys, even if they don't make it, despite how they've started the season. But yeah, if you look at everything, we are the youngest team in the league as well. I don't know what the average age is, but I'm pretty sure it's on you looking at 23,
Are you not
22.
worried though, Wonga? Are you not worried? So say Arsenal, and I mean, Matt, you can weigh in here. Are you not worried that if Arsenal don't qualify for the Champions League, the possibility of losing a player like Saka and Smith Rowe already being linked with your Liverpools and your Man Cities, would you be worried about losing a player like that?
I don't think they'd go to Man City or Liverpool.
Yeah,
Saka,
no,
they,
hardly any
at
Arsenal
Arsenal,
players have done that recently.
I don't like. They may be linked, but if those guys are thinking, I mean, logically, you're playing at Arsenal.
But what weight does that
they-
statement carry now, Wonga? You're
they-
playing at Arsenal.
they-
What weight does that
they are-
carry?
they're playing week in, week out. If you go to Man City, you're going to be competing for places there. They're doing very well at Arsenal. To be honest with you, Smith Rose, yeah, even like those guys definitely won't leave the club. They definitely won't leave the club anytime soon. I can guarantee you that. But I think Arsenal, I don't even think it'll be anything to worry about. I don't like right now. I don't think Arsenal's going to come and finish in like a 10th spot, a 9th spot. I think if you do worse, I think Arsenal will probably finish 5th. I think we'll probably finish 5th. We're still in Europe if we finish 5th, and that is better than last season. So we'll have to move on from there. That's why I don't think Arsenal will be in that position of not being in Europe completely next season. Not like we did last year. No, definitely not. But yeah, I mean, the guys are good. I mean, the youngest squad in the league, and look who we are. If we go for Europa, I'll be okay with that. I can't lie to you. But then we need, if they're going to be looking, let's say we fail to make it, or even if we do make it, we need to boost the squad. That we need to see. We need to see signings that tell us that, look, they're serious about keeping the position or doing better next season. If I don't see any signings, then it's going to be, yes, I don't know what we're going to do, really. I don't know what they're going to hope for next season, because you probably do exactly what you did last year.
All right, well, Wonga, you okay? I suppose if they make Europa, it feels like it's progression for you. You confident your players are going to stay here? But another question here from Pum saying, Kane must leave Spurs, Matt. What do you think is going to happen at the end of the season if they don't get what they want?
Oh, yeah.
Is he gone? Is he definitely out? And what does Conte do? Then
surely.
Conte walks, surely, if that happens.
As it stands today, I think Kane would leave. I think if for him to stay, it would take a lot more than just finishing 5th. I think if for Kane to stay, I think we'd have to finish top 4, and I think we'd have to win something, FA Cup. So it'd have to be the FA Cup. That's the only thing we're still in with a chance on. So I think we'd have to win the FA Cup and finish top 4, and even then, I wouldn't be 100% confident of keeping Kane. I think there's some of the clubs who didn't go in for him will be looking at it now, thinking they should have just spent the money. City got Grealish for 100, and they if they'd spent 150 on Kane, they'd be getting a better return, probably in footballing terms, maybe. But I don't know if he'll stay. I think a big factor will be whether or not Conte stays and what kind of project Conte foresees for next season. If they back Conte and they bring in a couple of players, I think we need at least one really big marquee signing so that Kane could think, yeah, next season we could actually win the league, and that's cool. And then, yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. It seems to be Liverpool. Liverpool don't have a scouting department anymore. You just follow ours.
No. That's the other way around.
Guys,
Your
oh,
Chelseas, your Spurs, they look at where Liverpool are going,
Your
and now they're
Chel-
trying to change their philosophy. What do you think Spurs are trying to do now? Sign
Spurs have
young
always
players.
played like this.
Trust
We
of
have
young
always
players.
played this way. We have always
Okay.
tried to score more than we concede. You guys with your fluid front three, we've been doing that. We've been
All right, you've been doing that for a while. But Yakamas agreeing with you, Wonga, saying Arsenal have a good run of games, especially given they have no Cup European football, real opportunity to kick on. So he's in the same camp though. And then
yeah.
Mr. Vix over here saying Liverpool were buying Diaz in the summer anyway. You see, and that was, you know what, Daniel Levy accelerated the process. No, he was always a target. He was always a target according to Jurgen Klopp. So that was pretty good to know. But we're just going to reshape the conversation, gentlemen. I know it was the Spurs 4-0 win, and Matt's touched on how well they've done here. What does Yakama say? I wasn't sure.
Yeah,
whether
I had the same thoughts because I was going to say that was definitely the best performance by a striker at the Etihad this season, and it could have been Kane. On the one hand, you saw the Spurs Kane because he played the way he hit all his high notes. He assisted, he scored, he ran around, he did the things, sang the theme tune on the bus on the way home, I bet. But it was pretty damning that it happened at the Etihad. You know, very much kind of 50 million more, and you could have had this. You know, and I think it
would have pretty much sealed the title.
I think that's the problem with watching Kane now. You're always thinking, you know, how much of this is him falling back in love with Tottenham, and how much of it is him being aware that there's a transfer window 4 months away, 5 months away, and he wants to make sure that his price hasn't dipped. So yeah, it's going to be the case with every Kane performance until he somehow agrees to sign a new contract or leaves. You know.
Right, gents, but that result did lead to a sort of Bielsa sacking. And Jesse Marsch has come in as a replacement. I know Wonga again, we know how vocal Nick's been about Bielsa, saying last season, he says that they keep going. He actually said it this season, if they keep going with Bielsa, keep doing the same thing, they're going to get relegated for the following season. Yeah. So overall, I don't think there's much for us to say about Bielsa. The sacking was a long time coming rather, but the Jesse Marsch sort of replacement, it was immediate. It was effect. Yep. What's up, man?
Well, the one thing I want to say about the Bielsa sacking stuff, and I'd never, you know, unlike Nick, I don't have passionate feelings about Bielsa one way or the other. You know, it's fun to pretend you do just to get Nick worked up, but I'm not actually that bothered. But one thing I will say, what's come out a lot since he's been sacked is all of the stuff he was doing behind the scenes. You know, he'd go down and take practice with the under-11s, and he'd spend a lot of extra time with the club. He was big in the community and stuff. And I don't think it's as much as his sacking's been coming a long time on the field. I think we also have to recognize what an important figure he's been for Leeds. You know, this was a club who collapsed. You know, they were a Champions League semi-finalist, and then within a few years they were out the Premier League. They were facing financial ruin, and they really kind of had their insides scooped out. And he rebuilt that feeling, that sense of ownership, that sense of community, and played some good football on the field. And I think you've got instances like that where it's not as easy as saying form has dropped off a cliff, we have to get rid. Same thing happened with Poch. Poch was such a big figure in the Spurs kind of pantheon that it wasn't easy to get rid of him when it was time to. And he probably stayed a few months longer than footballingly wise he should have. And I think replacing that is hard because Jesse Marsch has got to come in and he's got to have instant impact on the field because that's what's expected. You know, the new manager boost, and they're expecting him to be tighter at the back, bring a bit of structure, control the slide. But at the same time, there's a massive gaping void off the field that's going to be left by Bielsa that he's got to also try to navigate, because if he doesn't instantly have good football results, he's not going to have any kind of leeway or kind of wiggle room that that Bielsa had built up. So that's a very tough job to take. And I think it's
tough, but I think
although
the
his
timing
CV looks pretty good, fair play to him.
The CV's okay, yeah. But the thing is, if we're looking at Bob Bradley, you know, the last sort of American to be in the Premier League with Swansea, it didn't go too well for him. Obviously, he is American, but he's applied his trade in Austria first, and also under the sort of guidance of a Ragnick, who's now at Man United. So you could argue there's some sort of philosophy that embeds lying. I don't know where United are right now, but, you know, in terms of what Salzburg did, he did make his move to Leipzig. It didn't work out for him. So he's gone from Austrian League, which was obviously not the biggest sort of leagues, but he did all right there. Then went to the Bundesliga and with arguably one of the better sides in the Bundesliga, and that kind of blew up in his face. So now he's sitting with this Leeds squad, and yeah, it's all good and well to play an attacking philosophy, but the issue they're having isn't the attacking philosophy, it's tightening up at the back. So it's going to be interesting to see how he manages them. He does say he's a manager that likes listening and taking the feedback of the players as well as the coaches and trying to get them to sort of feel empowered in the decision-making process. That's going to be interesting, especially to the point that you're making now, Matt, where if you got to consider you got to hit the ground running. I mean, hitting the ground running requires a lot of conviction. It requires people to come in and take you seriously off the bat. And if you're going to come in and start saying, hey, Mr. Calvin Phillips, what do you think's wrong with the side? How are we going to address this off the bat? They might be going jeepers. The Soak's asking me right now, and we need to roll up our sleeves and get stuck into the fight, and he's asking me for a decision. So that's going to be interesting to play out. But he is a manager that gives youth an opportunity. So if it wasn't sort of the situation where Leeds find themselves in now, you could argue it is a really good appointment for future sort of planning. But right now, it's a huge gamble. Wonga, I don't know what your thoughts are.
Look, I think looking at it, Claudio, even Bielsa's sacking, like, like when I look at it, you look at you're looking at the run of form, and you can expect any manager to get fired. I mean, looking at the run of form. I mean, last week we spoke about, I mean, the red lights that are showing here, that this is not good. But for me, I just look at him like, look, all Bielsa had to do or has to do, or they have to just talk to him and say, look, man, you just need to add a defensive component to what Leeds is doing, because I kid you not, that's probably the only problem, is that they're not defending. Every team can score against them, so like you just add like any sort of focus on defending, and I promise you, Leeds will probably change in some way. That's what and if you're looking at now also the importance of what Bielsa was to a Leeds, I'm sure they had. I mean, surely they had those conversations, and I wonder why that wouldn't have. Why that wouldn't have gone through. Why did they choose? I'm just wondering, why would they have chosen Bielsa to leave? Why was leaving the final decision? So if you're looking at a new guy coming in, all he has to do is add a defensive component to the game. They're going well up front, and now you have to just figure out for them to concede their scores. Liverpool had the same problem, I think.
Well, you say that, but the last few games they have been struggling for goals too. They didn't. I mean, fair play. They've played some tough teams, but yeah, but so I think they did. It was maybe time for a change. One positive I will say: normally when a club gets to this situation and they're scared of relegation, they go to one of those safe pair of hands, Big Sam or someone like that.
Yes.
So I think it's nice to see them giving an outside manager a chance. Let's be honest, if Marsch was a young English manager who'd been doing the things in the Championship, everybody would be like, oh, what a brave appointment, But because he was in Austria and Germany, people are a bit like, well, does he know the league, And I think there's something to be said for giving managers like him a chance. That's where we ended up with someone like Klopp. That's where we ended up with someone like Pochettino, with these managers who'd done the things in a different European league, maybe not at the big clubs. They didn't come from Barca. They didn't come from Bayern Munich or whatever. They came from, the non-top of the world clubs. And I think in that way, I think it's exciting. Someone new into the league. Definitely not an easy job. I think he's going to have a big task on hands, but could be a lot of fun.
I do like what Yakama says. Yeah, he's saying, Leeds' system suits him as a manager. They've looked him up, and it says big issue is whether the Leeds fans can move on from Bielsa, and that's going to be the trick. I mean, are they going to be in the same situation that Everton find themselves in, that all the appointments, the fans aren't buying into it, so it makes the job a lot harder for the manager. But comments are coming out. He was confident in his interview, which is a good sign. Also, Pum saying, defending was an option at Leeds, and I think Wanga's touched on that time and time again. They defend when they feel like it. And then also Mr. Vic saying Liverpool to win the quadruple this season. So Wanga, that one's for you. Also, Darren.
Okay, so we know who he supports.
Yeah, damn, he's a Liverpool fan. He knows exactly. He knows football. He knows ball. And then Darren coming in now, Mr. Leeds himself from in South Africa. Guys, if you want to speak to a Leeds fan in South Africa who knows his stuff, it is Darren, and he's saying they're going down. Gents.
Ooh. It's an interesting one. The relegation battle this season is gonna be intense. I think there's a few clubs who must be wondering if they're going to get sucked in. I think Everton, all of a sudden, are looking like they might get dragged into this. And I think if Leeds have got to be realistic. They are in a relegation battle now. the task on their hands is to get a run of form to take them away from that drop zone, put them into safety. Just like Everton have got the same set of conditions. Newcastle now have started doing the things. They all of a sudden don't look like relegation fodder anymore. Burnley have decided they maybe don't want to go out without a fight as well. So I think it's going to be really interesting. I think it's going to be one of the sides that we probably none of us expected at the beginning of the season end up going down. Someone like Leeds or Everton or something like that.
Here's an outside shot, and I want to get everyone's opinion here. Is Leicester City also, if we're looking at the sides with the worst form currently, it is Leeds United, it is Brentford, it is Everton, and Leicester City, who are sitting on 13th. They're sitting on 13th, but they are only, I think it's 6 points clear. So they've lost 3, they've drawn 2 in their last 5 games. So it's going to be an interesting one as to, I think Norwich is done and dusted. I think that one's safe to say. But between Everton, are we going to have a name like a Leicester and Everton? I mean, Leeds, Darren throwing them in, Mr. Leeds himself throwing them in there. But I mean, are we going to find a casualty like that?
You see, like today is what, Leicester and Burnley. If Burnley beat Leicester, they've just put them, they've thrown them in the mix there. They've put them on that cliff now. With 2 hands on the cliff, like it's gonna be rough for Leicester. Gee whiz, it's actually surprising.
Guys, I know we've been rooting for Burnley to get relegated, but I mean, surely, if they survive this, Sean Dyche deserves every plaudit like that comes his way. Like to get them out of this, I don't know.
Yeah.
We give them some credit.
He put them in there. You set yourself on fire, then you roll in the snow, and they're like, "Well done, you put out a fire." Like, no.
But he has been working. He has been working with a budget of pies. To be honest, like we know this. He knows what a pie costs, and that's what he spends his money on. Pie, exactly. And if he can get a deal with a pie and a pint, then he'll take that. But I mean, that's what he's been working with.
Yeah.
Shucks.
Or is it? And I mean, it also speaks to the sort of character of the players he recruits. Because I mean, if they do get out of this, and they really shouldn't get out of this, but if they do get out of it, he's managed to get them on side. Also, maybe I think a lot of those players in that squad know they're not good enough for the Premier League, so if they do go down, they're not coming back up.
Yeah, that's a good motivator, isn't it? But then again, if they pull it off, then they are good enough. So it's yeah, look, I think whatever sides end up managing to survive. I think same thing with Newcastle and Eddie Howe. I think if he pulls it off, it will be a good achievement. And as much as I'm a bit facetious about Sean Dyche, because I just think he just seems like someone who's probably not very kind. I feel like he shouts a lot.
It looks like he belongs in a Charles Dickens sort of novel.
Yeah, like he's the bad landlord who comes around and kicks kids and stuff.
That's what he looks like.
Which is probably not true. I'm sure he's a lovely man.
No.
Yes,
no more
exactly. But I think whatever side ends up surviving, survival is an achievement. It takes a lot. It takes a lot of grit. It takes a lot of determination. It takes a lot of mental strength. Just like you lose those things and you start to slide down. Everton are in a position where realistically they should be able to achieve safety relatively easy. But if they start to lose their heads, if they lose that stability, if they start to doubt themselves, they could end up in the battle. Same with Leicester. They seem to have, for whatever reason, completely lost their way form-wise. It's not they've had 1 or 2 injuries, but not enough that you would think that they should be dropping from where they were to where they are. And I think a lot of that must be down to mentality, it must be down to confusion. And so when you're able to achieve survival facing relegation, it's because you find that mental determination and you find some stability and a kind of a shared higher purpose and stuff. And I think if he pulls that off, fair play to him. Yeah, I'll have to accept that he did a good job. But I do think it's, and in a way, Burnley are one of those sides that they do deserve to be in the Premier League, because consistently, time and again, they do seem to find ways to be hard to beat and to get points against bigger teams and stuff. Whereas Norwich, they're one of the teams where they come up to the Premier League every now and then. They play some relatively attractive football, but ultimately lose basically every game they play, and then wander back to the Championship for a season or 2. And Burnley have chosen it because Burnley could do that too. And there's a lot of money to be made in it. Apparently, the studies, going up and down, you actually make a lot more than if you just sit around 16th, 15th. Because of the parachute payments and all that. So Burnley, they could have been really kind of cynical about it and say, well, let's get relegated and then we'll spend 2 years in the Championship, come back and do it all again. So, fair play to them for that. But I think there's individual players across all of the teams, the bottom sort of 4 or 5 teams. There's individual players that you think probably deserve to be doing more than they are. I think that Cornet dude that Burnley brought in looks a real player.
Yeah.
And
that's
that
what
replacement,
Giacomo is
the replacement for Wood, whose name I can't say.
Yeah, it is a tricky one, isn't it? Where's he
Weghorst.
from? It's like a Scandinavian country. Weghorst.
Weghorst, yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he looks like Sean Dyche. For all
Viking.
Sean Dyche's like angry man, I reckon Sean Dyche is scared of him. You know, like he
Sean
signed
Dyche,
himself.
you know, he's got his local pub that he recruits from. Sean Dyche made the trip to Sweden, and he found a biker pub there, and that's how he found this guy.
Yeah, and
That's
he
where
found
he's
that
from.
dude standing outside because he'd been thrown out for violence, and he was like, "I've got a job for you."
He's like, wait, was he arrested? No, yes.
Yeah.
He's like, I actually like the guy next to him, but he wasn't arrested. So I went for the guy who was arrested, and that was him. So yeah, he's got the job.
Exactly.
He's doing the
So
business.
he's and he does look like a handy striker. You know, he works for Burnley's method as well because he's massive. They just stick him up front and launch balls at his head.
Yep. Also, yeah, Giacomo's saying Leicester have more games in hand than any other manager. I don't think relegation is on the cards, but a Rodgers sacking might well be. Wonga, would you take Rodgers if he got sacked? I mean, quick no. Okay, we move on swiftly. Darren's saying,
No.
my thing is with the new Leeds appointment. Why now? Why favourable next 7 fixtures? Our last month was a nightmare in terms of fixtures. Yes, goals conceded are a joke. I just feel Bielsa would have gotten the results in the next 7 to beat the drop. Now we have a new manager with no Premier League experience, and if we go down the board, have got questions to answer.
Well, you could say that, but on the flip side, you would say this is the perfect time to bring in a new manager, because if you brought him in earlier, he would have just lost those games anyway. It would have been really bad for morale. You want to bring him in when there's a winnable run of fixtures so that he can get a stamp on, start to build momentum. There's that new manager buzz, and then it turns around that mental thing. We're talking about that mentality. So I get what Darren's saying, but it can work both ways. And he could look back at this at the end of the season and be like, actually, the timing was really good because that just gave us enough to get us away from the drop, just enough to survive, and then we can rebuild in the summer. Yeah, it is that risk of stick or twist is always a tough one at this time of season, especially for a club like Leeds who weren't actually in the drop zone yet. They weren't actually at risk right now, and there was kind of this decision of do we wait a little bit, and then what if it's too late? What if you get, what if your next 7 fixtures you lose the first 3, and then you start thinking about replacing, and now your window's gone, and then you're relegated, and then the walls fall down, and there's much gnashing of teeth and tears and ash on the face, and other biblical stuff.
And we're gonna have to get Lucas Rodebo to send Darren another sort of video, just like making false promises is not a can Goalloungetv. So we're gonna have to get him to make amend that. Just a quick one here. Mr. Vic saying Weghorst is 6'6", is born to play for Burnley, and I also think maybe this is you know how modern football we've got our recruiters and they look at stats and analytics. Sean Dyche has a mold that he just gets in cast iron like in medieval times, and he goes, if they can fit within this mold, you play for Burnley. Wonga, what did you want to say there?
Oh no, I'm saying Darren. In terms of what Darren was saying in his statement, I think with now I even forgot about what Darren was gonna say. What I was gonna say about Darren's point now. I was looking now at Weghorst, the guy from Netherlands. So he actually had a good season once in the Dutch league for Wolfsburg. So I think he scored more than 20 goals, if I'm not mistaken. But I watched him play. I haven't seen him now. At the time I watched him play, I thought for a guy his size, sort of like Crouch vibes, very good at his, very very good at his feet. So I can see why he's not. I don't think he's a typical Burnley player. I think Burnley have
he's a little bit better. You think he's punching above Downey's weight, rather?
No, I think himself. But it definitely is going to assist him. He could definitely assist him in what they're doing. So it will be, a big problem for other teams.
They found a bargain there, and he might be one of those strikers who just has like one good season, like Michu did for Swansea a few years ago. Do you remember Michu?
Yes, I remember.
He had that one season with Swansea where he was just scoring all the goals. Everyone was like, here's this next hot thing, and then the next season it was like,
it's gone.
Nowhere. Or like Aubameyang for Arsenal.
Pele at Southampton.
Remember,
as well.
Aubameyang had that season at Arsenal where he was amazing, and they made him captain. And this season they replaced him with a clone.
But he's banging them in at Barca now.
They sent they sold the real Aubameyang to Barca. The clone is probably now wearing the Gunnosaurus suit.
They got Aubameyang shedded skin. That's what they got. Now they got the real thing. Exactly. He's rejuvenated.
Oh, yeah. I was gonna say, in terms of what Darren was saying, in terms of the favourable fixtures, I think that was definitely correct. Many of the guys they're playing as well also battling in that relegation, and also I think a time to. I mean, if you're playing a Leicester as well, that would have been a good time to sort of pull them into it, while you try to get yourselves out. But yeah,
Yep.
I mean, what's happened, and yeah, you have to deal with it.
Yeah, I think
Do you wanna
also
touch
to a
on-
certain extent, maybe also the fact that they were playing Spurs is also one of the things, because you look at how we've,
Yeah.
and I can put my hand up and admit it. If a side has set themselves up to be methodical and solid, they've been able to take points off of us because we have been struggling. You look what Burnley did just a week before, and that, the board were probably looking at and thinking Burnley, who we're going to be competing with for relegation, got 3 points against Spurs, and we've just conceded 4 goals, and we look like a championship side against them. So there's also that to think about. I think these things never happen in a complete vacuum. The guys are also, they're watching football every week just like we are.
Jeepers. Well, Darren, don't fret just yet, because Yakamis is saying freshening things up now for Leeds could be the right thing, because the players are very, very explosive and they are very fit. So maybe it is just the sort of refreshing that they do need. Before we move on, I just Leeds face Leicester side 3 days recovery. Okay, that's also true. And also one last one from Mr. Vic saying Spurs are Man City's bogey team. That's not a lie. But I just want to touch on the sort of the Pums comment here saying Everton are not safe, and I think they will buckle. And moreover, he goes on to say that some big games, big top games to come, playing against United, Liverpool, Arsenal, and Chelsea still. Question for Lampard, though, guys. If they do get relegated here, what happens to the man's career? I mean, surely he doesn't get another opportunity in the Premier League, does he?
He'll have to go somewhere else.
I don't think they get relegated.
Championship or Europe.
But I don't think they get relegated, especially the way they played against.
Go ahead, Wonga. I think he's just struggling there from connection point of view. Matt, what did you want to touch on?
Yeah, I mean, I think Wonga was going to make the point that they should have enough to stay up.
Oh, he's back. He's back there. Let's come, Wonga. Every time we give you the airtime, you go quiet and then Matt speaks.
No, I'm saying that I think definitely they stay up. The way they played against Man City was, I think it was a good performance. I mean, you get a draw against Man City, that's going to boost your confidence. And I think, it is Faber. I won't say who it is. Pretty useless. But so I think they definitely. With the performance they put, now after that decision, you heard now the FA they apologized to Lampard and the Chelsea, but apology doesn't do anything now. Now they've literally lost their 3 points and they're still in it. But I definitely think they have enough to get out of it. I can't lie to you. The other teams, no ways. Surely they have enough, right? Surely. Surely they have enough, Claudio.
I think they're in a situation where they're so reliant on individual talent. And I know Lampard's meant to try and piece the straws together, but there are just too many loose straws here. And I think it's tough. The fans are desperate to get onside. They are hoping that Lampard can do that for them. But the fans are all over the place. The management, we know the club's being run worse than an Arsenal and a Spurs. I mean, okay, Spurs is a bit of a harsh one. Daniel Levy's been there for a long time, arguably steadying the ship, but still, they're being run terribly. And then we've got flipping. I think it's a serious thing to be considering. I know everyone just speaks about like you said, Wonga, they shouldn't get relegated. They shouldn't. So everyone's not really putting them there, even though they're there and thereabouts, but no one's really taking them seriously up until
that we said that about Villa a few years ago, remember? Before Villa went down, because they were one of the ever-presents. We had this thing in our heads where they won't go down, and then they got relegated, and it was a bit like, whoa. And Everton could be in the same situation where we kind of, it's. I think you make a good point about the City game, and hopefully the players are able to kind of take that on and ignore the result and kind of show actually we're capable of playing pretty good football, and take that forward, because they do have a talented group of players there. They got some solid ballers there, and I think they'll expect to stay up. Should give Everton a penalty kick, and if they where did they take it?
No. But on this note, though, they've actually apologized. So the referee, actually Riley, Frank Lampard, the owner, have asked for apology, and Riley, the refs, actually come out to apologize because it was a blatant handball that wasn't given. So again, these are the things that kind of, this is football, right? You need all these.
But we've had situations like this. Remember, there was that time
It's
a
not
couple of
enough.
seasons ago when Villa went down. They shouldn't have gone down, but the sensor on the ball going over the line was switched off in the one game. So
look at that, Matt. Matt, look at you. You and Vard's on the same wavelength here. Literally saying the same thing. But sorry, as you were.
And I think so there's been instances in the past where stuff that's unfair has happened and people have had little more than an apology. Liverpool with the beach ball, for example, they never gave you guys a penalty over that.
No,
Spurs with Lasagna Gate, when we basically had to field the youth team because half our side got food poisoning the day before we would have finished above Arsenal for a Champions League spot. When you want to talk conspiracies, one go. So this thing happens. There's been instances where something that's objectively unfair has happened and the side has had to suffer the consequences. And I think what Everton have to do is kind of suck it up and accept they didn't get the rub of the green that day, and they've got to start doing the business on the field.
Well, here's a good question. Yakama's saying, I mean, Wonga, you always comment on this, and I want to get your opinion here because you always have strong opinions in terms of how things should be officiated and handled. And he's saying, I do wonder if the FA setting a precedent for apologizing for the errors could lead to legal action in the future. That's one point. But the penalty could have been the difference between Everton getting relegated. But what if it's a difference between Man City winning the league? That's the other question I have. But in terms of them apologizing, what do you think, Wonga?
No, look, the truth is, and I think who's his ref now? I think it was it Gallagher, the one this old man, the head of these referees. Yes,
the cheese scope.
Yeah, so he's saying, and it's the truth. You can't go back in the past and change the decision. So the best thing is the best thing is what you call it is an apology, but that's not fair. I mean, for me, it's the refs. Yeah, the refs can make errors and get away with these things. You know, for me, they must be as accountable as the players in the game. Players get red cards and yellow cards. You do the mistake, red card. Coach is doing the wrong thing as well, red card. You can throw these things around. But if he's made a mistake in his decisions, it's then no, that's okay. And the players are literally penalized for the errors in the game. And I know it's part of the game, but then the refs must also scrutinize the referees.
What should we do? Should we do like a public flogging before the next game? They get to bring out all of the VAR staff, and every Everton fan can throw tomatoes at them.
Yeah. Maybe some eggs. Maybe they can have an egg and tomato sandwich, some cheese on the forehead with a little bit of sweat.
Justice.
But the thing I want to say is, so now, say hypothetically speaking, right? He's come out, he's apologizing, saying he was wrong. Okay, now Matt, you speak about spaghetti gates and all the rest of it, but now he's actually admitting fault in this. Then to the legal point of what Yakimus is saying here, I mean, if they do get relegated, do they not then have claims to go, no, well, we want to replay? Or do Liverpool not then have claims to go, well, we lost it on those 3 points or whatever the situation was because of that decision? Does it not become a larger legal discussion?
No, because even in the same way where they overturn a red card after the game, you get sent off in the 3rd minute, and then after the match, your team appeals and they overturn the red card. They can overturn it, but they don't go back and make you replay with that player still on the field. It's an acknowledged mistake. It's overturned. It is what it is. But you still suffer the consequences of it within the 90 minutes.
But it's overturned, though.
Same thing. They can overturn the handball decision. Well,
they can't.
They've apologized. Yeah, but it's the same thing with the player who's been sent off. He's still off. He still wasn't there for the 90 minutes. He just doesn't get banned for 3 games.
Yeah, but the ban gets rescinded. So what happens? What happens in this situation where that can't be turned around? The points are gone.
Yeah, then nothing.
Scratch the game as a draw.
It's the same as when you overturn a red card because they're saying, oh, that shouldn't have been a red card, but they can't go back in time and put the player back on the field.
But they've reversed something. They've reversed something for me. They've reversed something.
But that's only because the red card carries those things after a game. You're confusing two things here. You're confusing 2 things. They overturn a decision that happened during a game without being able to change that game. That's the bits that's important. Don't worry about the 3-game ban. What they're saying is that there was a mistake on the field, which they're going to undo by taking away the red card. But they can't go back and put the player in, and they're not going to tell the teams, go play again now and with the player still on. It's the same kind of... I'm not saying it's fair. I'm saying that's what it is.
Yeah.
You know, because they can't go back. Imagine if they had to go back every time they made a mistake. How many times has there been a dodgy VAR call? Are they going to replay the League Cup final because Lukaku wasn't actually offside for that goal? They're going to give him the goal.
But I think the point, like if we're going back to it though, is the referee admitting he's made the mistake publicly. And what I'm asking, I suppose, is like does, again, to what not I was asking, rather, I'm claiming Yakamus's sort of question here, does it not open the FA and the rest of them to a sort of legal issue that they wouldn't have? Like, would you rather not have, you'd rather have like a ref saying, okay, rather not say anything, he did make the mistake, but not come out and actually apologize and say, yeah, no, fuck
But
up.
what does he do? Just, he can't have to say
quiet.
something.
Let other guys take care of it. It's quiet.
Like, just,
I'm just saying from a legal perspective.
No, but I mean,
you would say from a legal
perspective, there's precedent that these things get left on the field. There's precedent that there's nothing they can do after the fact. The 90-minute, when the final whistle goes, the result is what it is. They don't.
Yeah, true.
Otherwise,
Lolo saying it wasn't the ref. It wasn't the ref. It was the head refs who apologized. Which again,
someone apologized.
Someone's apologized, yeah. So okay, but
also that's nice. And what they can do when Everton are in the Championship next season, they can print that apology, and before every game, they can project it on the screens,
frame it,
and then they'll be like,
100%.
Sorry.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah,
Pum's
saying next to their Everton badge.
Pum saying a video referrals ruined, or is in all sport is so bad. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think we're kind of getting. It's gonna get better. It's gonna get better. I don't know. I think it is getting better already. You kind of become like, even on the weekend with Van Dijk's goal getting ruled offside, you can see why it was given. Even in the time you're like celebrating and your arms are about to fall off because you're shaking them so much. But like when you see it go back, you're like, well, based on how they're ruling it, as long as it's consistent, it's fine. I think the consistency is key in terms of the application. So, yeah. But I mean, it does take away from that live moment. Yakum is saying, is it possible that clubs could sue for compensation? Individual clubs are richer than the league now and would likely have more legal power.
Fair.
I mean, Man City could do that.
That's fair. Everything goes down and then they say, hey, give us some cash here, bro.
But they get parachute payments anyway.
Huh? Yeah. Put more. Put more. Goodness me. Put more. I couldn't be there. Goodness me.
All right. But gents, to wrap up, we're going to move on to our final thoughts. But Arjun, welcome. So you've hopped in at the right time. You saying apparently Roman Abramovich looking to sell or listening to offers to sell Chelsea because of the current climate in Europe. But that's something else. We're going to go final thoughts there from you, Wonga, and from you, Matt.
Final thoughts. I'll stick to it. I think Arsenal, again, doing well. And I think top 4, it's much more likely than what I thought 2 weeks ago. It wasn't 2 weeks ago. I mean, it was after those 4 weeks ago, after the January transfer window. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Arsenal are going to finish top 4, but I'm glad you're happy, Wonga. It's good to see you smile.
So who finishes top 4, Matt? Who finishes top 4?
I've got a horrible feeling it's going to end up being United.
Yeah,
I just think it's going to be boring again. But yeah, final thoughts. It's good to be back. Missed you guys. I'm glad that Spurs have managed to string together a couple of results. And I'm hopeful that we have a fun run to the end of the season. It'd be nice to have a decent cup run. And if we get even close to top 4, that'd be fantastic. But I'm definitely not confident like Wonga is. But of course, my manager didn't promise to win next year's Champions League. So there we go.
I suppose my final thoughts, gentlemen. Which roller coaster is worse, the Arsenal roller coaster or the Spurs roller coaster? Which one would you be more terrified of getting onto?
On Tottenham's one. Oh goodness me! You beat a Man City and then you
see
can't beat a Burnley.
What I'd hate about the Arsenal roller coaster is the other Arsenal fans. No one hates Arsenal more than Arsenal fans do. It must just be so horrible being surrounded by those guys. Imagine AFTV as your actual go-to channel. Oof, goodness me. No.
There's a reason why
he's trying to change it. He's trying to tell Arsenal.
There's a reason why it's called. There's a reason why it's called AFTV and not Arsenal Fan TV.
All right, gentlemen, on that note, if you haven't joined our Discord channel yet, the link is in the description below. Thank you to everyone who's joined us. Yakamus, we really enjoyed your comments today. Pums, always a pleasure. Selo even made an appearance. Arjun, you're a treat. Vard, you're a treat. We also got Jurevix. Also, we had a couple of first-timer jets. I don't know. You want to give it a little round of applause for the guys that joined us for the first time? Come on. That's worth the clap there.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Yep, thank you so
We're
much.
the Arsenal supporters.
No Arsenal supporters. No one wants to be. Who wants to be an Arsenal supporter? Come on. Anyway, you got better chance finding a Sean Dyche fan in the pub. Anyway, on that note, gents, we will see you on Thursday for the next show, which is obviously takes time. What time does it take place, guys?
What time is it?
On
Oh,
Thursday.
Oh, 7:30.
Thursday. 7:30.
On a Thursday.
Yeah, pre-match
7:30.
movie. And yeah, join us in the chat there. And remember, if you don't know what to be
Be cool.
Be cool.